Alright, hello and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Lily and Generoso. I'm Lily.
I'm Generoso.
And today we are going to make Thit. So that's basically just pork chops. We're not using bone-in pork chops because I don't particularly like them myself, so we're going to use some delicious pork shoulder that's already sliced for us that we got at the butcher. And so I'll show you how to make the marinade and all the kind of accoutrements. So this is a little bit of a variation on gum thumb, which is traditionally crushed jasmine rice, and it's served with a bunch of different things ranging from Thit Nuong to Thit to all kinds of other fun things, like there's this egg and pork item called jad, and sometimes there's bean, which is like pork skin too. But we're just going to make it with the pork chops. So let's see what we have. We have a lot of different ingredients. First, we have 2 pounds of pork shoulder. This is already cut. This has a little bit of fat on it. We're going to trim a little bit of it off, but we're going to keep a good amount of it to give us some flavor. We have 3 eggs. This is going to be used for the fried egg that we're going to serve all of this with. We have 2 shallots. We have 2 big stalks of lemongrass. We have a little chunk of ginger. We have a handful of scallions. I'm going to be making scallion oil to serve on top of the rice. We have a ton of garlic. That's probably about, conservatively, like 8 to 9 big cloves. There are lots of little baby cloves there. We have 4 carrots, and these carrots are going to be used to make pickled carrots that we're also going to serve all of this with as well. And on to the sauces. So we have some soy sauce, we have some molasses, we have apple vinegar, which will be used again for the pickling, we have pepper, and we have some sugar. And we have some olive oil. And so what we're going to do is going to do a little bit of prep. First, we're going to actually make some sweet soy sauce, and that's going to be the kind of key base to our entire sauce and marinades. We'll see you very, very shortly. Alright, so we're going to make the sweet soy sauce first. So I have a saucepan on medium heat right now. I'm going to take my molasses. Give 4 big spoonfuls. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we are going to give a 1/4 cup of water. We're going to turn the heat down. We don't want this molasses to burn. Just stir it on up into the water. And then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of soy sauce. This is a nice sweet soy sauce that will help make this base really delicious. And if you have leftover, then you can bottle it up and have a really nice sauce for stir fries as well. Alrighty. I'm going to close that on up. Put our measuring cups here. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit more now. And cook this sauce down until it becomes a little bit thicker. So we'll see you in about probably 3 to 5 minutes when this becomes thick, and we'll just take it completely off the heat. See, so we've done quite a bit of prep. The soy sauce is off of the heat, and as it's cooled off, has become very syrupy. This is exactly what you want. Generoso has very kindly cut up our pork. He's trimmed some of the fat, and these are all about like maybe 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches chunk or so. I have cut up the garlic, the scallion, the ginger, and the lemongrass. And it's a very coarse cut up because we're going to use our friend, the food processor. Yay! I like the food processor. So I've already split up my garlic, my scallion, my shallot, my ginger, and my lemongrass in half. And what we're going to do is, because this is a small food processor, we're going to do a half batch at a time. If you have a big food processor, then of course you can put it all together. And we are going to make our herb paste. Again, it's going to be a little bit like a modified pesto. We're going to use a little bit of olive oil to bind it. and that'll make it nice and easy to spread. So we're gonna do, we're gonna add maybe about like a tablespoon of olive oil. Dunk. Dunk. Gonna put the lid on, and then do a quick cut. The thing that's going to definitely give you the hardest amount of time is going to be the lemongrass because it's very stringy. Go ahead and stir it for hot until it starts to get smaller. On blending this up until it becomes a nice paste, and we'll show you the final product because you won't be able to hear me while I'm chopping all of this up. Alright, so our lemongrass, our shallot, our garlic, and our ginger are all nice and minced up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put probably, in this case, about 2/3 of the puree onto the meat. I don't think we're gonna actually need all of it this time around. Alrighty. Then we're going to take our dark soy sauce, which is in the pan. Put all of it on top. It's a nice syrup at this point. Alrighty. Gonna put that back on the stove. And then we are going to add fish sauce. I forgot to mention this during our ingredient shout out, but at the same time, pretty much every single Vietnamese recipe always has fish sauce in it. So when you are making a Vietnamese dish, make sure to always have it on hand. So we're gonna probably add about 2.5 tablespoons to this. Good hefty amount. And now, take your chopsticks and mix all of this up. It'll be a little messy, that's okay. You want to make sure that the marinade coats the pork nice and evenly, because pieces of pork without the marinade will not be good. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more time to mix this all through. I'm going to put a lid on this and then let it refrigerate and kind of soak everything in for at least an hour. And while this is marinating, we'll start to prep our green onion oil and also our pickled carrots as well. So we'll see you very, very soon. Alright, so our meat is marinating in the fridge, and I've measured out about a cup of oil, and I am heating it up right now. We're going to make our scallion oil. What I'm going to do is I've chopped up all the scallions. Go ahead and place it in the oil. Place all that in. And it's going to give you a really fragrant smell. That's exactly what you want. We're going to cook these for only about 20 seconds. Very, very short.
So we don't want these to brown at all, right?
Not at all. We just basically want the green onions to infuse the oil and the green onions themselves to soften a little bit. And it's going to kick off a really, really nice fragrance.
Yeah, it's already hitting the whole room.
Alright, so we can shut the heat off. I'm going to give it another stir for about, a couple more seconds. I'm going to move this over to the burner that is not on fire. And that's your scallion oil. And this is going to be used to put both on top of the pork chops when they're cooked, and also what I like to do is to actually put it on top of the rice so that it gives the rice a little bit of an extra flavor. And so our scallion oils continue to sit and get even more delicious. Jenna Rosso tasted some. Now we're going to make the pickled carrots that I want to serve this with. So what we're going to do is very similar to the pickled onions. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of apple vinegar. You can use white vinegar. I'm going to add a tiny bit more just for some good measure. I've already julienned the carrots. And now I'm going to take 3 teaspoons of sugar. This is just straight white sugar. So 1, And then also a little bit of black pepper, which I had misplaced. It's just some ground black pepper. Probably about a teaspoon. Alright, I'm going to take my handy dandy whisk. Give this a nice mix up. Make sure that all the sugar is dissolved in the vinegar. Almost there. Alright, so all the sugar is nice and dissolved. I'm just going to take this and pour it on top of my carrots. And make sure that it coats your carrots. Again, these have already been very finely julienned. And that's it. This is going to be one of the additional layers on serving our pork chops. And another, again, it's kind of a nice touch. If you don't have time to make the carrots, then it's no worries. Same with the scallion oil as well. But I think that they are all really, really nice touches and kind of add different flavors and different textures to the pork chops. So we're going to let the pork chops marinate for probably another 35 minutes. Again, the longer you marinate, the more flavorful. So you could do this the night before if you wanted, or you could just at least allow for an hour to an hour and a half. So we'll see you when we're ready to fry up our meat. Alright, so our pork has been marinating.
It's so beautiful.
And it's probably marinated for 2 hours.
At least
Probably gave it at least 2 hours. We don't know because we were watching hockey. So.
That's true.
At this point in time, we have our frying pan. And I've put some oil in it and made it nice and hot. You could actually, at this point, pull out the pieces and put them on the grill. You could broil them as well. We don't have a grill, and I prefer not to broil, so we are going to fry.
Excellent.
So just pull out a piece, put it on down. You might need to turn down the heat a little bit, because the marinade does have a decent amount of water content in it, so it'll pop and bubble. And I'm using a shallow frying pan for this. And that's mostly because you want the meat to have nice cooked and almost crispy edges. So I'm going to pull down one more piece. And we'll let this pork fry. And we'll see you when they're ready to take out of the pan. And we'll put in the next batch. Alright, so our pork chops are all nice and fried. And they are a little brown on the edges. They smell really delicious.
They do.
And Jean has also very kindly fried 3 eggs. You want to fry these eggs to where the yolk is still a little bit runny. In our case, we let the white cover the yolk a little bit and made the bottoms crispy. That's how we prefer our fried eggs. You can fry them however you want. And so now we are going to use the scallion oil and the pickled carrots to assemble a plate. We're using brown rice. You could definitely use jasmine rice, and you could use crushed jasmine rice as well. We're using brown because it's a little bit healthier. So we'll see you very soon when we're done assembling everything. Alright, so we've plated our pork chops with 2 scoops of brown rice, some pickled carrots, and the egg with some of the scallion oil drizzled on top. And that's it. That's our Nuong and our attempt at Vietnamese pork chops, which I think are really, really good, and I think they're plated very nicely for once, because Generoso is a far better plater than I am.
No, you did a beautiful job with this.
Enjoy.